Well, hello! I'd like to welcome you to another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This week I have quite a lot of vintage pens and some pens you haven't seen in a while and a few pens you've seen very recently. So let's dive into them and see how they write. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, maybe one of the pens I bring up tonight strikes your fancy and you'd like to talk about it, so please feel free to leave a comment down below. So let's take a look at these pens. First, I have a PenBBS 266 with a lovely finish, but a different nib than you've ever seen in it before. I have a Noodler's Boston Safety Pen, which hasn't been inked up in a while, but it needs to be. I have a Kaweco V14S with a bit of a story behind it. I have a Tuckersharpe. Not 100% sure of the model, so I'll keep my mouth shut about that. I have a Sheaffer 330. A Sailor 1911S with a zoom nib and Fresca finish. A Sailor 1911 Realo, which is their piston filling model. Platinum President. A very recent first impression, but with a new ink, for reasons you would have seen in last week's Pens in Use. PenBBS 456. A Garant Alkor from behind the Iron Curtain. A Lamy 27E from the other side of the Iron Curtain. And we'll close it off with a US-made pen, a Majestic, which is quite majestic. So those are the pens that I'm using this week. Let's see how they write. As always, I'm going to use my Bomo art journal, and a couple of these pens, this is the right paper, as you'll see. All right, this first pen is a PenBBS 266. I did a first impressions on two different ones. One had a nice nib, the other one had a scratchy nib. This is the one with the scratchy nib. Now, I was in the process of working on the nib when I thought, you know, I have all these, sorry about the focus there. I have all these nice goulet nibs that I really haven't used as much as I thought I would. Why not? I did bend up the feed a little bit getting it out, but now I know better next time I do a PenBBS. Whoops. My pages escaped. I really need to remember to get a clamp. So this is the PenBBS 266. I have a Goulet 1.1 millimeter stub nib in it. You can see the link down below to my first impressions of this pen and to my review of the Goulet nibs that I did years ago. The ink in it is Herbin 1798, and I am sorry, I did not check the pronunciation of this ink, so I will butcher it. Apologies to my French viewers. Cornaline de Egypt.
Cornaline d'Égypte.
Thank you to the very nice lady on Google Translate for filling in the blanks for me. Next, I have my Boston Safety Pen, which you haven't seen in a while. I have to double check if this is the second or third time I've filled it, but I feel like it's due a review. One thing with a safety pen, because right now the ink is just loose, I do that with the cap, with the pen upright. And it seems there's a little extra ink around the nib, so I'm quick wiping that off before I embarrass myself writing with this stuff. Again, that's a feature or a bug of this particular model of pen. The benefit of it is you can put all the weird inks in it. This is a semi-weird ink, but not particularly weird. So this is a Boston safety pen from Noodlers. I forgot the word Noodlers. The ink in it, also a Noodlers. It's a very dark brown ink, also known as whaleman sepia. It's supposed to be like the old logbooks on the whaling ships, made out of like squid ink and all the weird stuff that they picked up and just threw together and said, oh, let's call that an ink. Of course, this is a more modern formulation. My next pen has become my daily writer this week. And I've mentioned before when I reviewed it, link below, this could easily be my daily writer if it weren't for the Lamy 2000. Well, you've seen the last few weeks my Lamy 2000 has had problems. Ever since I dropped the nib, basically. I can't get it to stop leaking. I thought I had stopped it leaking till I tried to refill it, and ink was coming out around the ears, all around the section. I can't get it to stop doing that. I've looked at the seal, you know, it's there. I've looked at the O-ring, I've looked at the rubber part, I've looked at everything. I've had it apart over and over. I've researched it. I don't know if something is cracked or what's going on. I even tried a little silicone grease because I got desperate. Nothing. So, this is a... do this. I don't know what you'd call it. It's a Kaweco pen anyway. Gold nib, 1960s. This is what solidified my interest in vintage slim black pens. It's not one that your typical collector's going to say, yeah, I'm going to get me a Kaweco V14S. Whoops, and I can't spell it. People just don't get excited about these. It is made out of the same resin as the Mont Blanc pens, the precious resin. More importantly, it's doing what I want my daily writer to do. So while I evaluate my life choices with that Lamy 2000, this is going to be my daily writer. And I should just add, that is not a sacrifice at all, because I like the pen, and I always feel bad that I don't use it very often. My next pen is a third-tier American manufacturer, Tuckersharpe. They were around from the 50s until the 1970s, based in Richmond, Virginia. They did a lot of branded pens, you know, with advertising on them. I should also show you the nib here. Very smooth, medium USA. Some of the nibs apparently in this model are like the Esterbrook nibs. They can be screwed out and you can use Esterbrook nibs. Not so much in this one. Although one cool thing is the transparent feed. I like that very much. Now you might see some skipping there. This is a very stub-like nib. It does dry out. The cap doesn't provide the best seal, but I think you can see there. It's also very stub-like, especially for a medium. I feel like somebody has worked on this nib. And you know, with a vintage pen, you never know their real history. The ink in it is very Italian ink, Aurora Blue Black. Maybe the people who don't like me putting Private Reserve in Visconti's will be upset about me putting Aurora in this. And I just wrote that backwards. Wow, I should stop talking and just write. Blue Black, not Black Blue. If you follow me on IGTV, tonight I will be doing an episode where I talk about some of the third tier versus midline versus a more expensive vintage pen. Whoops, started to write with the next one. Tuckersharpe will be in it. This is a Sheaffer 330. I plan to film a review of this one. True story, at the beginning of the school year, I forgot my Lamy 2000. This is before I dropped it nib first on the linoleum floor at school. Forgot my Lamy 2000 at home. This was inked up with Aurora Blue Black. So this was my daily writer for the whole first day of school, and it served admirably. It really is a good pen. And when I review it, I will say so. It's from the 70s. I think the nib is kind of cool. Cool. The ink in it is de Atramentis. Fir. So it smells like a tree. I'm not real sure why, but I felt the urge to ink up my two Sailor pens. Maybe I'm thinking, come sail away, sail away, sail away, especially because it's been so cold this week. Although, as of Thursday, we started a brief warm snap right before cold comes back with a vengeance. But anyway, this is a Sailor, 1911 standard. And it has a zoom nib in it. The ink in it is Sailor Jentle. And what makes it a zoom nib? See how I'm laying down to write sky, and then very upright to do the high. Zoom nibs vary the line width based on the angle at which you write. See how close I can get this before it freaks out. So they're kind of fun. Now with it, I bring the Sailor Realo. I believe this is a large size, but when I bought it, it just said Sailor Realo. Sailor Realo is their piston filling version, but I think this shows you a bit of the difference in size. I don't know, this 1911 model confuses me. And honestly, I don't know a lot about Sailor. It's just not a brand I've investigated very deeply. This is a Sailor Realo. The ink is apparently a hard broad. Sailor actually has some very interesting nibs. Is that where it says HB? Yes, it is. I just don't own them. That may be something to rectify in the future. I just haven't rectified it yet. The ink in this is Private Reserve. I have a hard time calling that a broad, by the way. Ebony. This is probably the noisiest pen you're going to hear tonight. Ebony Green. It feels smooth, but it's just noisy on the paper. I don't know why. My beloved Platinum President. This is a pen that I had ground when I ordered it to a cursive italic. It's a broad nib, but it's cursive italic, which gives it a very different flavor from the regular broad. And what is that ink you see there? Could it be? Yes, the Krishna Kanikonna is back. Somebody sent me some videos and photography of a tree that this ink is inspired by, and I just thought, what a beautiful tree. And I I love the idea of a yellow ink. I just can't find very many that are good for anything. And I have to say it behaves better in this pen so far than it did in the PenBBS, which will be showing up shortly. You know, it's a yellow ink, so how good can it be? But it's a decent one. Let's see if I can spell Kanikonna right. But I haven't seen any of the crusting here yet, I should add. But I think maybe part of the reason is probably the Platinum President does make a better seal than the PenBBS. The PenBBS probably has a perfectly acceptable seal, just not with a needier ink like the Krishna. And speaking of the Krishna, after a bit of cleaning and soaking all the crud out of the nib unit. Oops. See, I need that page clip. It is clean and functional yet again. What somebody mentioned in the comments, you have to do this with the vacuum filling pens, which I did in the last video. If you were to look closely, I just didn't mention it. You know, my beloved Pilot Custom 823 is also a vacuum filler, so I'm well aware of how to treat these pens. But anyway, you can see it's writing very well. No crud. This is a PenBBS 456. Probably a fine nib in it. Yeah, there's an F on it. And the ink in it is Sailor, Jentle, Waka-uguisu. I just learned yesterday that Sailor is discontinuing their 50 milliliter bottles, and all their ink's going to be sold in 15 milliliter bottles, which... Now, I'm two minds about that. One mind is saying, well, yeah, because how quickly do you run through a bottle of ink? The other part of my mind is saying, but your bottles are so shallow and crap anyway. Are you really going to make everything better? So, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Is it going to affect the ones I really like the Sailor Gentle Epinard and so on? I don't know. Waka-uguisu, I could take or leave. This is an East German pen. This is a Garant Alkor. I keep getting confused because I also have a Garant Dokar, something like that. But this is an Alkor. And you all, if you've been following this channel, know my love of Central European and Eastern European pens. So this is a Garant Alkor. We'll just show you the nib here. I'm quite certain that's a steel nib. I don't have much question about it. It is, according to this, a medium. According to my seller, it's a fine. And I don't see anything else written anywhere on the pen to tell me what it is. So who do I believe? Well, it definitely seems fine, but it also can seem medium, so I don't know. Let's go with the medium this time. I don't honestly care. That's so what I've discovered in my brief time really exploring the pen world is it's a very subjective thing, even within a single brand. The ink in this got me into blue blacks. This is Pilot Blue Black ink. Probably one of my favorite blue blacks. I like it a lot better than the Aurora or even the Parker. So let's go to the other side of the Iron Curtain, to West Germany. About the same era. This is a Lamy 27E. This has an oblique broad nib on it. This is a pen I do hope to film a review on soon. I just need to get my research all organized and in one place. Probably going to do it with a different ink in it though, because I'd kind of like to do a better job showing the ink windows there. It's just some of the stuff I want to show better I can't show when it's filled. There we go, 27E oblique broad. And I have no trouble believing that. Oblique means it's cut at an angle. That's kind of handy for those who rotate their pens when writing. When I inked this pen up, I inked up a companion pen in Diamine Autumn Oak, just kind of to compare them. I should do that. I should have brought them both down tonight, because I don't think I ever did actually both of them at once, did I? No, I did not. Unbelievable. A situation which must be rectified soon. And finally, somebody mentioned that this writes very well, and I agree. I had it out at a meeting today, and I actually got some compliments on the pen. Not calligraphic writing or flex writing by any means, but good writing. This is a Majestic. I can't find much information about Majestic. All I've found so far is apparently their pen kits sold in the brand name Majestic, and I don't know the pen kit world. So it just says Iridium tipped USA. It's just a steel nib. In fact, some of the plating is wearing off. I was looking tonight at a photograph of a Majestic, the same pattern but in blue, which was quite attractive. Ink in it, Herbin Lie de Thé. And I may have gotten the accent backwards. I don't speak French, so I don't know what I'm doing. There's some of that green ink I got on it I need to clean off, but I mean, just look at that finish. This pen is gorgeous. When the source I bought it from said the finish is Bakelite. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but damn, it's gorgeous. And it didn't really come clear till I cleaned a bunch of greasy gook off of the pen. So you can uncover some swans if you're willing to just put in a little elbow grease. I'm going to close this out with just a small preview of upcoming attractions. So you know that I like vintage pens. A recent addition to my collection is this. Yeah, one of those slim black Central European pens. Small clue. Flaro Vegas. This is apparently a Romanian pen. Oops, and I keep forgetting it's a slip cap, not a screw cap. This will probably be my first pen with a white feed, which obviously needs some cleaning, and clearly a little nib work will be required, because the nib really isn't touching the white feed. And the white feed isn't really lined up, and yeah, I'm just seeing all kinds of issues there. And more evidence of cleaning needed. But I'm happy to report, fully functional. So, look forward to that. I may even do a restoration video on it. We'll see. I may destroy it in the process of restoration, in which case this conversation never happened. Another fun one coming up. A Senator, a late model Senator. This is probably when they were on their downhill slide. I have not cleaned it, but all it needs is a clean. It doesn't need any restoration, as far as I can tell. A couple more surprises coming. I have a vintage, another Penkala coming. And if you know that box, you know that this one is fully restored. Penkala Myrna, or EMI as it's branded. It's all the same company. I mean, that's gorgeous. Blind cap, the piston works. This is a pretty sweet pen, and I'm very excited to do a first impression of this one. Another one that will probably be a video where I restore and first impress. Do a first impression. I don't think I can verb that. I did it again. Whoops! All of you for whom English is not the first language are going, what is going on here, dude? Let's pull out a couple other surprises while I'm leaned over here. Okay. A couple other joys. The Senator actually came in this, but there's a very different pen in here, and it's wrapped in cloth because I inked myself pulling this out because they mailed it to me fully inked. It doesn't really fill that well, so it's going to need some work, and it's coated with ink. This is a Swedish pen, believe it or not. Let's see if you can read the name. Svanström's Royal Pen. Import. I actually bought it from, I can't remember if it was Bulgaria or Romania, but anyway, the ink, I mean the nib, Freudian slip there, right? It's a semi-generic gold nib. Looks like I got to do some, well, we'll see. We'll see if I have to do any nib work. But I'm holding off on this one. You may not see this one until I've got multiple days off because this is a pen I feel like I don't want to rush restoring. This is a this is a beast. A few more that are upcoming one of these days. This is a Japanese pen. Not much clue what its brand is. Other than that. I actually have a Japanese pen I need to do. It's a, all I know is it's made by a Nibmeister. Special iridium point. This is a sort of an eyedropper pen. This bit is yeah. What do we say about it? So apparently I have to eyedropper it. I may see if I can silicone grease this bit though. Possibly I don't want to, I don't know. That's why you haven't seen it yet. Because I gotta research. I don't feel like I know enough. I cleaned this one out. This is another Toes Penkala Toes Penkala, anyway, whatever you want to call it. Rather fetching finish. Gold nib again. Seems to have a lot of flex. Couple more here. This is a Selector. I have another Selector I keep talking myself out of reviewing because I don't like it. This one I'm very hopeful about. It's a very nice nib, even if it's not the most flexible. I'm just very happy about it, so I'm excited to ink this one up. In fact, I may do another batch filming of pen review first impressions just so I can ink it up and try it. Then there is this baby. I don't know anything about this. It's an Imperial Sparta. It's pretty. Very pretty. Piston filler. The nib. Imperial 14 karats gold. So that'll be an interesting one to try here one of these days, soon. I think you saw the trim ring is a little loose. Hazard of a vintage pen. It is not quite right sized, or else something has shrunk or grown in the days since the pen was made, or maybe it wasn't that well made to begin with. And I can't remember if I showed you this yet or not, but this Astura Nova, nice Italian pen. I've learned more. It's apparently a lower tier Italian pen, but I don't care. It's beautiful. So I'm excited to ink that one up and use it, even if it has a tassel. Oh, and we don't want my first impressions to turn into vintage preview. So expect a PenBBS or two, another die. I have some more Daizos coming. And this, if I can ever get the flipping thing out of the... You can tell I have never actually pulled this pen out. So actually, I'm giving you a preview that we get to experience this together. Ink. Yeah, that's upcoming. But honestly, my love is turning more and more toward vintage, so we'll see how many modern pens slip into the first impressions. I don't know. So that's just a little exploration of where my weird little mind goes. I'm more into the vintage pens, like I said. I enjoy restoring them. I just enjoy the experience of using them and exploring their history. I enjoy having them. They're just a totally they're just a totally different feel from a modern pen. And in some ways, I feel like they're more unique. I'm preserving a little piece of history with each little vintage pen that I restore. So, yeah, that gives me the real thrill. And this whole idea of exploring vintage pens from different countries, especially the lesser-known ones. You know, you like your Parkers and whatnot, but there were a lot of good manufacturers that nobody's ever heard of outside of where they were made. So that's what I really enjoy bringing to light. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old with an increasing emphasis on the old, and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And hey, if you'd like to talk about any of the pens I brought up tonight, maybe you'd like to offer some repair tips for the Romanian pen, or maybe you can offer me some clues about Majestic, the fountain pen brand here in the US. Please feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.